The Nürburgring is the venue for round 4 of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Welcome to what promises to be a lively fourth and final race of the weekend here on the short version of the Grand Prix circuit. David Addison with you as we look down on the grid, which is based on the results of the earlier race today with the top 8 reversed. And that means that on pole position this time around is Thierry Foreman, who was 8th in race 1, and with him at the front of the grid is the French ex-Formula 3 champion, Anthony Journac. Now, the championship, which has had 7 race wins for Adam Lachko and 4 for Jochen Hahn, has both of them joint equal leaders of the championship. They are now on 188 points apiece, helped by Adam Lachko having the win in the earlier race that was on a wet and drying circuit. He battled his way into the lead, made a mistake, fell off the road, dropped down to second and elbowed his way past Jochen Hahn. There was some contact. Jochen Hahn wasn't very impressed about it, but I think they've kissed and made up. We'll find out as we are about to go racing, because they'll start together on the 4th row of the grid. Pole position then, Thierry Foreman. He is in the same type of truck and run by the same team as championship joint leader Adam Lachko. Thierry Foreman in the Bagheera International Racing System Freightliner, the former Czech national karting champion, lining up alongside there in number 8, the French driver Anthony Journac in the Lion Truck Racing MAN TGS 18480, the French driver whose team is based in Lyon, which is where it takes its name, of the Lion Racing team from. Anthony Journac, 8th last year in the championship, was a winner at Nogaro, effectively his home round of the series. Ex-Martini French Cup racer, Formula 3 French champion back in 2004. Then, next on the grid, you get to Steffi Halm, the German lady who was the winner of yesterday's equivalent race, the reverse grid race. Formula 1 make saloon car racer, having moved from single-seaters, Formula Koenig, into Alfa Romeos, into Minis, and then into Porsches for a time, and the VLN that runs here on the Nordschleife. She had a win at Hungary last year. She had a win yesterday, a third, a first, and a 6th across the weekend, being the results for Steffi Halm. So it's been a pretty good weekend, and alongside her on the grid is going to be her teammate, indeed team owner, because the 2 blue MANs on the 2nd row, run by René Reinert, the Reinert Racing team. And René, who has a big haulage and logistics business in this country, also has this race team based at the Lausitz-Ring. He began in truck racing back in 2012 when he was 12th in the championship. The year after he was 9th, then he was 7th. Last year he was 6th, and this weekend 2 5th places in race 1 and race 3. And yesterday, after contact in the Mercedes arena and a red flag and a tyre that needed changing, he stormed up to 6th from the back of the grid like a man inspired. This morning he did not seem to like the wet at all and was really sluggish at the start of the race and then dropped a few places. Let's go to the grid. Steffi Halm is with our reporter Dakota Jane.
Stephanie, how are you feeling about the race this afternoon?
Yeah, the races are brilliant. You know, the first race we had in wet conditions, so first time for all of us to drive in the wet. Now it's dry again, so for me it should be good, because yesterday it was good in the dry conditions, starting from 3rd place, so it's a good opportunity to be on the podium after the race.
And you've already had 1 podium. Do you think you can get another at the end of this race or not?
Yeah, I hope so, because after we have a longer break, like a little summer break, and would be good to finish with the podium and go into the summer break, and I hope we can do it.
Well, you make all the women in racing very proud. Thank you very much and good luck for the race.
Thank you.
2 podiums, a 3rd in race 1, a win in race 2, and then 6th this morning in the wet. The results so far for Steffi Halm, so I'm not sure that another win necessarily is going to go her way, but she is quick and she is on the 2nd row of the grid, so it is possible. Depends really what progress those behind, Gert Korber and Norbert Kisch on the 3rd row, Jochen Hahn and Adam Lachko on the 4th row can make, because they're all gun drivers, and then you've got Alan Law and Shane Brereton on row 5. There is Gert Korber aboard number 27, the Iveco, one of the 2 Team Schwaben truck entries. Teammate Marcus Altenstrasse to be found a bit further back on the grid, but Gert Korber, 3 times a European champion. He won it in 91 for Phoenix MAN, in 02 and 03 for the Bagheera team. From a kart racer, Gert Korber massively experienced, and that proved this morning in the wet conditions when he fought his way through to finish in 4th place. He's had a 7th and a 12th, as well as that 4th this weekend. Norbert Kisch is the reigning champion, and indeed he was the champion the year before that. He was 2014 as well as 2015 European Truck Racing champion. This year in the Tank Pool 24 Racing Mercedes-Benz. Engine dramas at Nogaro cost him dear, but this has been a good weekend, probably his best collective weekend thus far. Fourth, third, and there's the man that won the opening race of the weekend, Jochen Hahn, a win and 2 second places so far for the second generation racer. 3 times a European champion, but unlike Gert Korber that we've just seen on the grid, he won them back-to-back, 11, 12 and 13, so emulating Kurt Joransson and Heinz-Werner Lenz as drivers that have won FIA truck titles 3 years in a row, and Heinz-Werner Lenz is on this grid as well. There's Adam Lachko, who was the winner of the earlier race. The Freightliner run by the Czech Bogira International Racing System team always goes well in the wet. Adam Lachko always goes well in the wet. Also, yesterday in the dry, little bit breathless, that truck, so perhaps Adam is the only person on the grid that would be hoping for wet conditions. That might have given him more of a chance. Then you get 9th on the grid, Ellen Law, and from here on in, people start where they finished. In other words, 9th in the race, 9th on the grid. Ellen, the former German Formula Ford 1600 champion, going back to 1987, moved to German Formula 3, moved to the DTM for Mercedes, won at Hockenheim back in 1992, and then Mercedes moved her across to truck racing a few years later. She's done the Dakar Rally. She's been a great enthusiast for truck racing, great advocate of this branch of the sport. And so too is a relative newcomer here, Shane Brereton, who after years in saloon stock car racing and super silhouettes and the European late model stock car series on the continent, did a grand job for many, many years in national hot rod racing. He's raced in pickups as well as trucks in the UK, and now having his first European outing of the season in the Team Oliver Racing rig. Next on the grid is 28 Marcus Altenstrasser there, the Austrian, who had a couple of third places at the Red Bull Ring, missed Misano, missed Nogaro, has come back this weekend, but 7th in the reverse grid, the equivalent race yesterday, the best that he has had this weekend. So Marcus Altenstrasser hoping for better fortunes here. Everybody, I think I'm right in saying, is on the grid. We've had a couple of races where we've had the odd pit lane starter, but everybody on the grid good to go. As you look at František Wojciech, one of the real stalwarts of European truck racing, began in 1987, still as enthusiastic as ever he was, still as committed. He's raced for Liatz, for Skoda, for Renault over the years. He's raced for MAN, and a man that came from autocross to truck racing. He's also done the Paris-Dakar on a couple of occasions. Has not yet been on the podium. The best that he's had this year is 6th in the reverse grid race on the Saturday at the Red Bull Ring. Now that battered truck, you might not believe me if I tell you, has won 2 races this weekend. Ryan Smith has been a real star in the British Truck Racing Association Championship this year, and he has won both rounds of that are here, running as the Mittelrhein Cup. So he won one yesterday, won again this morning, which was a very bruising affair, but Ryan Smith got through to win. He's also had 3 wins at Thruxton, 3 at Pembrey and 1 at Brands Hatch to go with his successes this weekend, and Ryan Smith is a man to watch. 87 there is Johan Hemming, the Finn, who is having his first outing of the year in the European Championship. Has raced in the Finnish series for a number of seasons, 15th this morning in the earlier race, the best of his 3 results thus far. Looking down onto the grid, the last truck there, 11, is the Portuguese driver Eduardo Rodrigues, who retired early in the wet this morning, conditions not to his liking. So the pace truck will lead them around. Of course, it is a rolling start for European truck racing events, and the fans, and there are about 100,000 of them packed into the circuit, are staying to the end to watch the action, because with a reverse grid, this is going to be a very lively race indeed. The trucks will be given 1 lap to get some warmth into the tyres. They run on a Goodyear tyre that is purpose-built for this championship. It is based on a road tyre, but of a special construction to withstand the rigours of racing. It's a treaded tyre, so it's the same tyre whether it is wet or dry, and Goodyear, coming into the championship this year, is a very enthusiastic partner in providing the tyres for this championship. 13 laps the duration, barring any disasters, and very shortly we'll have the 1-minute board. There it is, engines fire up, and the trucks are going to be released onto a final installation lap to get some warmth into the rubber, and then take a deep breath when they all go down to the Mercedes arena, because it was there yesterday where it all kicked off, with Lachko getting up the inside of Reinert, who was up the inside of Hahn, and they all met in the middle and cannoned into the back of Anthony Janek, and it was mayhem, and there was a red flag and a pretty lengthy clear-up operation. So everybody hoping that they all get through the first couple of corners safely, and then we can look forward to what should be a good race here to round out the weekend. A bit of contact is sometimes inevitable. Adam Lachko would tell you that, from the way that he had to muscle his way past Jochen Hahn to get the lead for the second time of asking earlier on in the day, when he won the first race just after lunch, but he normally is a pretty clean driver, but Jochen Hahn wanting to win on home ground. He did so yesterday. He would like another win today, starting on the 4th row. It is certainly possible. Norbert Kisch, I would think, is a man to watch as well, but anybody really out of the top 8 could take away the winner's trophy at the end of this race, as we now see the rigs rumble their way down towards the Mercedes arena, and everybody paying attention, canine friends and all. So your trucker's mate in the grandstand and Europe's best on track. Shane Brereton, number 17, the Brit, makes his way down towards turn 1 in the Stuart Oliver run truck. Stuart here running his own and St Michael's rigs in the British events, as well as Shane Brereton. And Shane's another driver, actually, that's on double duty, like Ryan Smith. He's done the BTRA rounds as well as the European events. So through the Mercedes arena they turn. And under a cloudy sky, still quite bright, but the odd black cloud threatening the circuit. And the drivers all hoping that they can get through this without any rain whatsoever. An intriguing front row, Anthony Janet, then he's quick, but not necessarily one of the drivers you anticipate to get a podium. But if he can make a break by getting ahead of Jiri Foreman and then trying to pull clear whilst the regular front runners are working their way up through the pack, then he's got a chance of building an advantage. And René Reinhardt too, I would have thought, has a good chance of winning this race. So a lot can shake out of it. You've got double champion Norbert Kisch, you've got 3 times a champion Jochen Hahn, and Adam Lachko, 7 race wins already this year. He had 8 in total last year, so he's set to surpass that. And joint championship leader. So the Lachko versus Hahn situation will determine who leads here as the championship leader. They are well clear in the championship. Now 20 points ahead of, over 20 points, well over 20 points ahead of René Reinhardt. It's Reinhardt ahead of Janik for 3rd by 20 points, but 76 points is the margin that Hahn and Lachko have over Reinhardt in his 3rd spot now. So as they work their way on this final formation lap, final with everything crossed, because the officials and indeed the drivers don't want the drama they had in the equivalent race yesterday, turning their way up towards the chicane, and the fans expectant of what's going to be a lively race. So the bonneted Freightliner, run by the Prague-based Lugira team, on pole position. Jiri Foreman, very quick kart champion. Last year spent the season as the team's test driver and now promoted to the ranks as works driver for this year. Number 30 there, Sascha Lentz, who had an engine problem yesterday but had a 3rd place earlier on this morning, in fact in the British Truck Racing Association round, making his way up now towards the chicane. Father Heinz Werner Lentz has been racing this weekend, but having been excluded from 2 races for excessive black smoke. I think Heinz Werner has knocked it on the head for the last race, and he wasn't on the published grid. And just checking to see whether 36 is there as they work their way up towards the chicane. He's not, so we are with only 1 Lentz for this race. They get themselves in the 2x2 side-by-side formation then now, making their way up towards turn 17, and then keep everything crossed as they head down towards turn 1. Race 4 of the weekend in round 4 of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship is about to get underway. They rumble their way up towards the lights, which go green. We're racing, and let's see who is best on their toes to make a good start. Steffi Halm gets up against the pit wall and tries to find a way past Foreman. Janek it is who takes over the race lead in the yellow MAN, and he's got the advantage down towards turn 1. And then there's a sharp intake of breath. Can they all get through the next sequence of corners safely? Reinhardt to the outside line, Halm to the inside there, the 2 blue MANs running together. Reinhardt goes through round the outside. So far so good as they accelerate up towards turn 2. Little bits of bodywork go flying. And there Jiri Foreman coming under big pressure because he's got lots of them all stacked up behind and around him as they work their way now, with Ryan Smith running way wide in the background. Bodywork flies off Gert Korber's truck. There's Ryan Smith about to try and rejoin if he can find a gap in the traffic. There's a bit of damage to Steffi Halm's truck as well. Adam Lachko up the inside. Is he going to get through in the Freightliner? Yes, he is. Halm gets forced out wide, even wider. The silver and red rig of Norbert Kisch, but it's Anthony Janet leading at the hairpin. René Reinhardt 2nd as they work their way through the corner. Nose to tail, 2 race leaders, 13 laps of racing. And it's France versus Germany. Janek ahead of Reinhardt. The similar MANs leading the way. Foreman is 3rd, and Lachko already up to 4th ahead of Halm. And then Hahn, Jochen Hahn in the blue and white MAN is next then. Steffi Halm with damage to the left rear. There's a spin, and off has gone Irving Klein-Nagelvoort. And off has also gone 21 there, which is Jerome Robineau back onto the track. Clyde Nagelvoort gets away, and with a punctured tyre, Robino's going to have to limp round to the pit lane, seemingly, as up now towards the chicane for the first time comes number 8 then. So it is Anthony Janek leading, but only just, because right there behind, right on his tail, is René Reinert as they head up towards the end of the lap. Now, what are the Freightliners going to do? Is Foreman going to battle for position, or are they going to allow Lachko through so he can get on with the job? Lachko goes to the inside line and didn't seem to have to work too hard to try to make that move. Let's see as it worked. It has. He's on the inside line, but now he needs Foreman to defend like crazy and keep everybody else stacked up behind him as the leaders go through then down towards turn 1. 1 lap in the book. Janek leading from Reinert. Heading down towards the braking zone now. Is René Reinert going to be able to make a move to the outside and then get the cut back? Have a look in the background, because Steffi Hall squeezes up the inside of Jiri Foreman for 4th place, and Jochen Hahn tries to go through as well. They're both going to mug the Bagheera driver. Through they go. So Janek leads Reinert, 3rd is Lachko. The 2 race leaders are nose to tail, but behind them, the quick drivers from 8th and up trying to make their way through the traffic. Bits of debris on the road as they turn their way now through turn 3. Anthony Janek leading the way. He has not yet had a victory this season. Is he going to be able here to fend off René Reinert behind him? Janek had a 2nd place at the Red Bull Ring. Is he going to be able to score a win? I think it's unlikely, because Reinert lines up to have a go down to the hairpin. Janek has to give him racing room. He tries to move across, and he does. There's contact. Boom. Out wide goes Janek. René Reinert gets up the inside, and he takes the race lead. Janek may not be terribly amused about that, but it wasn't the heaviest of contacts, but Janek ends up going out wide, and so now René Reinert tries to pull away. But don't forget that behind them in 3rd place is the charging Adam Lachko, championship joint leader, but in terms of track position, that would give him the points to be the championship leader, with Jochen Hahn down in 5th spot at the moment. Steffi Helm between the 2 of them in the 2nd of the blue Reinert Racing MANs. 27 is Gert Korber in the Iveco, looking up the inside of Jiri Foreman as they turn their way now up through the Ad Van Bogen once again. Janek to the inside line. Is he going to fight back? Yes, he is. Back up the inside of Reinert, and he takes the lead back, and Reinert gets the chicane all wrong and has to take to the escape road. He's going to come out in the race lead. So Reinert will have to give that place back, I would have thought, otherwise he's going to get penalised for corner cutting with advantage as Lachko goes up the inside of Janek for 2nd place. They are absolutely side by side. Lachko comes out ahead in the Freightliner. The bonneted truck just takes the place. Lachko dead set level over the timing line with Janek as they go past the pits. 85 thousandths was the margin. Lachko to the inside line down towards turn 1. He's looking so much stronger today than yesterday. He breaks late going down towards the Mercedes arena. Is that going to give him the position it should do? But Janek tries to stay on the outside line. Surely he's going to have to give way in the end. Yes, he does. He gets run out a little bit wide. And so Adam Lachko in 55 in the Freightliner goes up into 2nd place. Janek down to 3rd. Halm 4th. Jochen Hahn 5th. 6th is Norbert Kisch. And then 7th and 8th and 9th at the moment. Foreman ahead of Korber, ahead of Brereton. And then in 10th is Alan Law. It's been a lively first, what have we had, 2 laps with Adam Lachko then chasing on behind René Reinert. Last time around, Lachko did the fastest lap of the race down to the hairpin. There Steffi Hall pulls out to try and find a way past Janek. Does he get another Reinert tap like he did from the Patron a lap ago? Not this time. Halm and then Hahn sitting behind him. So race order is now Reinert leading from Lachko, Janek 3rd, Halm 4th, and it's Hahn, Kisch, Foreman, Korber, Brereton and Law to round out the top 10. Jochen Hahn to the inside of Steffi Helm, side by side. Jochen Hahn on the inside, number 3, the white and blue MAN, but he's not quite level, so he's going to have to either be really brave coming up towards the next right-hander or sit back in the draft, and that's what he elects to do, with Norbert Kisch getting in on the act as well. Lap 3 of 13, bodywork flapping in the breeze from the back of Steffi Helm's truck. Look in the background, Foreman is under attack from Gert Korber. They come side by side. Up the inside of Helm comes Hahn, and Jochen goes through to gain the place then. That gives him 4th spot, under braking for the chicane. So Jochen Hahn, 3 times a European champion, working his way up the order all the while. Gert Korber, having got up past Jiri Foreman, is defending like mad. And up the inside in 17, the MAN of Shane Brereton makes a move on the inside line now. Shane goes through, picks up a place. Alan Law in the red, white and black truck. the Truck Sport Lutz Bernau entry. That also now trying to gain a position as over the timing line have gone the race leaders, with 1.4 seconds being the margin between Reinert and the closing Lachko. Janik third, Hahn, Halm, Kish round out the top 6. 7th is Gert Korber there in 27, and Ryan Smith up the inside, 2 wheels on the dirt. Alan Law gets into the back of Jiri Foreman. Ryan Smith gets past 1, gets past 2. Jiri Foreman gets run out wide. Ryan Smith capitalises on all of that. He goes from 11th to 9th in one easy move. And Gert Korber busy trying to defend now also from Shane Brereton. Alan Law looking for a way past Foreman as well. Ryan Smith, always spectacular, irrepressible in his driving, and very successful to boot in the British Championship. Has then got himself up into 9th spot, and about to go 10th is Alan Law, or is she? Hard on the brakes because that gap suddenly closed and Alan had to back out of that. Tyres squealing all the while. Down to the hairpin, hard on the brakes goes Jiri Foreman, Alan Law right up behind, and then going after the pair of them in 28 there, Marcus Altenstrasser. Alan Law will get the place coming out of the hairpin, job done, up the curb she goes, and Jochen Hahn to the inside of Anthony Janek now for 3rd place. They ran side by side through the right-hander. There's another right at the bottom of the hill, and Jochen Hahn's through, he's done the job. So the MANs switch order. Jochen Hahn it is who goes through then, picks up the place. 1 spot behind him and riding the curbs, Anthony Janek, and then it's Steffi Helm ahead of Norbert Kish. The 2 race leaders working their way towards the chicane. It was 1.4 seconds at the start of the lap, but the real question now is whether or not Hahn can catch Lachko before Lachko gets himself up and past René Reinert, who is going far better in these dry conditions than he did this morning. Steffi Helm pulls out, has a look to get past Anthony Janik, and they're going to be side by side, and there's contact. Janik gets turned sideways. Can he hang on to it? Just about. But Norbert Kish is up and past as well. So Janik, who started on the outside of the front row, dropping down the order. It's all a bit physical, isn't it, in the reverse grid race? Reinert to Lachko is down to a 2nd, so the lead gap is diminishing all the time. Their 3rd is Jochen Hahn. Steffi Helm then is 4th. 5th Norbert Kish, 6th is Janik. Then it's Korber ahead of Brereton and Ryan Smith. So you've got the battle of the Brits building up nicely there. Over the timing line they go, 8th and 9th. Alan Law next in 10th spot ahead of Jiri Foreman, and then it's Marcus Altenstrasser in 12th spot there in the white and orange Iveco as they wriggle their way through the Mercedes arena. Norbert Kish is the best place of the Mercedes drivers, incidentally, and there's lots of bodywork damage on the front of his rig. You can see, as in there's not much bodywork left really. There's meant to be a big red front balance, but there's only a fraction of it left on the left-hand side. There it is as he comes now down towards the hairpin. Steffi Helm's MAN also showing the scars of battle as that wheel arch flaps in the breeze. Lachko sideways, and the bonneted Bagheera Ram Freightliner coming up now towards the next S. Hahn pounding on behind, pulling away from Halm and Kish and Janik. So what can Adam Lachko do? In the first sector of the lap, he was quicker by 0.4 of a second. Making his way now down towards the Ad Van Bogen. The gap is coming down and down and down. Can Adam Lachko win both races today? Can he get 8 out of the season thus far to match last year's tally? And can he extend his lead in the championship, or go back to being the leader rather than joint leader? He led coming here. He lost the lead yesterday when Hahn was very, very impressive indeed. Lachko has fought back today, and the Prague-based team running the Freightliner has certainly found a little bit more pace. But he needs to get ahead of Reinert before Hahn catches up with him. Lachko doing much of the hard work on the first lap really to get up through the traffic. Jochen Hahn not making the same progress, and that's slightly gone against him. Over the timing line goes René Reinert then. Chasing on behind him is Adam Lachko, the gap only 0.3 of a second. There's an incident under investigation, which is Anthony Janik and Steffi Helm for the race lead. Up the inside looks Lachko, can't do anything about it. Nose to tail, they're going to turn 1. A little bit of contact between the 2, but nothing really major out of all of that. Reinert hangs onto the place then. Past the debris. They're working lap 6 at the moment as they go past the debris into turn 3. And Reinert has got to make a good exit from this next right-hander, otherwise Lachko will be up the inside on the run down to the hairpin. Nose to tail they run. Race order, Reinert from Lachko. This, the lead battle. Then it's Hahn, Halm, Kish, Janik, Korber, Smith, Brereton and Alan Law to round out the top 10. Alan still struggling for outright pace and not making the progress she desperately wants to. But René Reinert leads the way. We're currently on lap 6 out of the 13. So it was that contact going through the final corner a lap or 2 back between their Steffi Helm and the yellow MAN of Anthony Janik that's currently under investigation. Wide, coming down the hill goes Reinert and Lachko. That little cone you see stuck into the ground, if you whack that, then you start to get warnings about exceeding track limits. The damage on Lachko's front left, suggesting that he's been trying very hard over the course of the race thus far, if you needed any evidence, and up towards the chicane he comes. Now, behind them, lapping on a personal best last time was Jochen Hahn. He's also done the absolute best middle sector in the race. In other words, the third place truck is catching the top two, and Lachko knows he's coming, so he's got to get on with this somehow and find a way past Reinert as they come up to the end of lap 6 of 13, heading up towards the line now. There's a driving standards flag just being displayed, but to whom we're not being told. It is 77, and that is René Reinert, and it's track limits at turn 15, and that's the chicane. Remember, he missed out the chicane very early on in the race. Well, now he's being given a warning flag for track limit abuse, because not only did he not use the correct line, he also gained quite a bit of ground. He actually got the race lead, didn't he? So René Reinert being warned about the track limit abuse through the chicane. He's got other problems on his mind, namely Adam Lachko, and Lachko has got Jochen Hahn behind him, and Hahn has just done the fastest lap of the race. So Adam Lachko still frustrated. He can't find a way past Reinert as they work their way now towards turn 4. Where is Lachko going to make the move? René Reinert, who has already taken a couple of race wins this year, leads the way. The flapping bodywork on the front left corner of the Freightliner. Round the hairpin turns the Czech driver Adam Lachko. He's had spells in FIA GTs and the World Touring Car Championship, but the bulk of his success, having come out of karting, has come in truck racing, and he stands a very good chance of being this year's European champion. There is a long way to go though yet. There's Hungaroring, Most, Zolder, Jarama, and then Le Mans still to go before the end of the season. And as they blast down the hill, René Reinert desperately needs some points as well to get himself back into the mix, because with a 76-point deficit, he really needs to start outscoring, and outscoring by some margin, the likes of Lachko and Hahn. But as long as they're riding shotgun behind him, then he's not going to make much progress in the title race. Into the chicane he comes then. Reinert just ahead of Lachko. Back on the power, they rumble their way up towards turn 17 once more. And is Lachko going to make a move? We've not really seen a proper bid, have we? He's close, but not desperate to get up the inside here or there. Maybe he's going to leave it a little bit later in the race, but he's got to be mindful that Jochen Hahn is not that far behind, so he can't sit there forever unless he's just content to take the points and keep out of trouble. But Lachko is a fighter. Over the line, the lead gap 0.7 of a second now. Alan Law versus Shane Brereton. Brereton nearest us in 17. Alan Law has to slot back in behind. Can she get up the inside coming out of turn 17? The answer is no. And as they run up over the timing line now, it is Shane Brereton just fending them off as they come past the pits. Through they come, down to turn 1. Ryan Smith, having got up and past them, in 8th place now, making good his escape. Alan Law now dives to the inside of Shane as they get down towards turn 1. And it should be Alan Law that comes out ahead. Yes, move done, bit of contact, but through she goes wide over the curve, and Shane Brereton falls back 1 place then, so he's down to 10th. Up to 9th goes Alan Law. Shane Brereton runs it out wide over the curve. The yearly foreman is behind in 11th place, and remember that he started on pole position, so that gives you an idea of how the quick drivers, the quicker drivers, work their way through on these reverse grid races. Alan Law then sets off in pursuit of Ryan Smith. That might be a big ask, because Ryan has already been able to build up a big gap over the couple of laps that he's had grace for. Now there, 55 Adam Lachko, 0.7 of a second back, starting this 8th lap of the race. What can he do about Reinert? It's the age-old question. Where, if at all, can he find that way through? All around the circuits, there are little bits of debris, little bits of truck. And as up towards the chicane goes Lachko. He's close, but Reinert is going to be able to control the line all the way into the chicane. Every season, indeed every race within every season, René Reinert gets better and better and better. Don't forget, he's racing here against far more experienced people, especially the likes of Jochen Hahn down in 3rd place, who is now in his, 16th year in the championship. There, Alan Law coming up towards the chicane. Shane Brereton on her tail, then yearly foreman, and foreman has got Marcus Altenstracher behind him. So as they come now up towards turn 17, there's a good 4-way fight going on here for 9th, 10th, 11th places, with Altenstrasse 12th just about on the back of them. Leaders go through, the gap less again, half a second, and then Jochen Hahn 2.7 seconds back in 3rd place. Surprisingly though, up front, it's calmed down a little bit. So as they work their way through the Mercedes arena, Reinert to Lachko, still probably the smallest of the margins, but Adam Lachko not yet. Oh, now he's close enough to have a go, very much so, because almost pushing Reinert into turn 4, down towards the hairpin. He really needs Reinert to make a mistake and run out wide, but that's not for coming. Lachko now looks to the inside, but René Reinert knows exactly what the move is going to be. He moves to the inside to defend, but he's got to be careful not to understeer out wide and let Lachko get up alongside him on exit of the hairpin. Lachko trying hard, runs wide up the curb. Jochen Hahn seeing this battle developing up front, waiting possibly for it to end in tears. But there's no evidence of it happening that way just yet, because these are two of the top drivers in the championship, indeed in the sport, working their way downhill, nose to tail for the race lead. This is lap 9 out of 13. René Reinert, race leader, right on his tail, Adam Lachko. And now Lachko is looking a bit more toey about this. Looking on the inside, looking on the outside, up towards the chicane. Does he dive out of the draft? There's not really room, because Reinert defends the middle of the road. To the outside goes Lachko, hard on the brakes. It's not quite a dead stop, but it's a very heavy braking zone. Speed right down as they go into the chicane, nose to tail. Lachko pushing Reinert virtually up towards the last corner. Jochen Hahn creeping up onto the back as well as Lachko tickles the tail of Reinert's rig. Bodywork flies. Is that going to prise open the door? Lachko would be advised not to pounce there, otherwise he might get himself in strife with the officials, and indeed he sits behind René Reinert as they come over the line. Both rigs have lost bodywork. Past the pits they come, and so it's half a second between Reinert and Lachko, but only a second back is Jochen Hahn. Hahn third does still have a chance of winning this race, especially if they're going to trip over themselves up the road ahead of him. Down through turn 1 they go once more. And now back onto the power through the Mercedes arena. So 3 for the race lead, almost. Jochen Hahn is virtually with them now. In 4th place still, Stefan Helm, dropping back a little bit though. And then in 5th place, Norbert Kisch, and 6th was Anthony Janik. But Gert Korber bearing down on him as the race leaders once more run nose to tail. And again, there's just a little rub from the back of Reinert's truck from Lachko. So the Freightliner on the tail of the MAN, Adam Lachko right on the back of the logistics company director as they break for the hairpin. And where is Hahn? There is Jochen Hahn in 3rd place, almost on the back of them now. Tyres are squealing, up the hill they pound once more. René Reinert versus Adam Lachko. You can tell it's race 4 of the weekend, can't you? Because there's damage on most trucks, and still they battle on. They're durable and strong rigs, these, so it does take quite a bit to stop them. And Lachko is going to be given a driving standards flag, a warning flag for Adam Lachko for his driving standards. We've seen him involved in quite a few skirmishes, not just actually in this race, but over the course of the weekend. And so he's going to be warned about his commitment and his zealotry. But he's having a go on the outside as Reinert brakes as late as he dares up to the chicane. Jochen Hahn is almost with them. So if Lachko wasn't committed before, he's going to have to be now. Another tap in the tail as they work their way up towards turn 17. But Lachko better on the power. And of course, he's also got that long bonnet in front of him, whereas sitting up high, peering down on the ground, is the cab-over truck driver ahead of him, René Reinert. So MAN versus Freightliner, with the other MAN of Jochen Hahn almost there behind. The gap was half a second, it's down to 0.3 of a second. They start lap 11 as they go down now towards turn 1. Where does Lachko make the move? Is he going to be up the inside here? He's not going to dive up until the last minute, if at all, and so as they break for turn 1, René Reinert hangs on to the advantage. Can Lachko get up the outside of him at turn 2? No, he can't. It's a good defence, this, by Reinert, isn't it? Because he's managed to withstand all the pressure offered up by Lachko. But look at Jochen Hahn, who was a long way back a few laps ago, and he's just steadily got on with the job. And so now Lachko is trying to defend as much as attack, because he has got 3 times European champion right on his tail, Jochen Hahn. Turn 4, down to the hairpin, out of the Mercedes arena they go once again. So René Reinert leads the way. Is Jochen Hahn going to be Reinert's salvation? Because if he starts attacking Lachko and distracting Adam Lachko, that might just take the pressure off René Reinert a little bit. They work their way up towards the next left-right sequence, and it is 3 for the lead. Does Hahn have the pace now to get up past Lachko? There's no love lost between them after contact in race 1, and Lachko makes his move for the race lead, and there's more contact between them. Reinert gets fired off through the gravel. Lachko leads, Hahn is second. Reinert finds a way back onto the track, but he's going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, because Hahn goes past him, Kisch goes past him. and Adam Lachko may well find himself in hot water. From the angle we saw, it looked like a bold dive up the inside, but was there room, was there a gap? Well, the evidence will tell if the stewards feel it's going to have to be looked at. Adam Lachko is the race leader on the road, but Reinert will, I think, be a little bit aggrieved about that, inevitably, because he's not only lost the lead, there was contact, and there Jochen Hahn tries to get up the inside as well. Lachko will come through as the race leader. There's bits of debris, bits of bodywork all over the circuit, all around the Nürburgring now. But Adam Lachko comes through to put 11 laps in the book. 2 to go. He heads down the pit straight. More flapping bodywork in the breeze then as he goes down towards the braking zone now. So Lachko, who's already had one warning about his driving standards, has found himself into the lead in muscular fashion, and he turns his way through the Mercedes arena with, actually now, Jochen Hahn not being able to stay on the back of him. Released from Reinert, so Lachko is trying to pull away. Now, what about third? The last place on the podium could yet change, because there is Kish on the tail, look, of 44, which is Steffi Halm, and René Reinert, having led for so long, down in 5th position now. Kish for third is still a realistic possibility in this race as they turn their way again up now through turn 4 and make the run down towards the hairpin. There is Steffi Halm, winner of race 2, yesterday's reverse grid race. Norbert Kish thinks about where to make a move, but there's no opportunity on the inside at the hairpin. It's not easy to overtake going in. It is on the way out if you force a mistake out of the driver ahead of you. And Steffi Halm is a very competent truck racer, and she's in a very quick and well-run truck as well. So double champion, Norbert Kish behind. Now there's the move. Lachko seemed to be up alongside. From that angle, I would say that was pretty much his line. He was on the inside and he was level with Reinert. René perhaps moved across, but the net result was this. He gets fired across the gravel and drops down into 5th place. But there was a gap on the inside, and Lachko certainly went for it. He's a proper racer, and the stewards not yet putting that up on the message line to be investigated. So looks as though that's just going to be one of those things. And Adam Lachko leads the way by, last time of asking, a second from Jochen Hahn. He's about to come through to start the last lap of the race, and we'll see what the margin is going to be as they work their way then up towards the timing line now. The battle still on for 3rd place. Stefanie Halm ahead of Norbert Kish. Through goes what's left of the race-leading truck, and Jochen Hahn is now 1.7 seconds back, so the gap is extending once more there as the race leader goes now down towards turn 1. So it is Adam Lachko getting away, and the incident between René Reinert and Adam Lachko is under investigation. That line has just been put on the timing screen as you see Ryan Smith getting up the inside, or trying to, of Gert Korber, but the German driver moves across and defends his 6th place as they go down to turn 1. Smith is going to switch sides at the last moment. Is he going to get up the inside of Korber? It's a really bold effort. There's contact. He leans on the 3-times champion. Gert Korber will come out just ahead, and he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. And behind them is Anthony Janek, who started on the front row of the grid trying to buy back into this battle, but it is just Gert Korber fending off Ryan Smith, who goes through more debris there, more bits of bodywork spat into the face of the Oxo Racing Team MAN. Ryan Smith driving for the same team that ran Norbert Kish to the championship last year. Wide he goes out of turn 4 down to the hairpin. So it starts to calm just ever so slightly between them, but the story post-race is going to be Lachko and Reinert. The contact between those two that gave Adam Lachko the race lead. This is the fight going on now for 6th. Korber, Smith and Janek as they turn their way through the final half of the final lap. Adam Lachko, with bits hanging off the truck, bits missing as well, comes up now towards the chicane for the last time. Is he going to be the winner post-race? Is it going to be Jochen Hahn? Only time will tell, I'm afraid. It's going to be down to the stewards to look at the evidence and decide whether Lachko had a case to answer there. But it just looked like a gap presented itself, and he went for it, and Reinert closed the door perhaps a bit too late. But the stewards will decide. On track, it's going to be win number 8 of the year for Adam Lachko then. He comes across the line to score victory. Jochen Hahn flamboyantly comes over the line for 2nd place, 2 seconds behind him. Steffi Halm will take 3rd place, and 4th goes the way of Norbert Kish. Action all the way, plenty of drama, and it's not finished yet, because René Reinert, the grumpiest man in the place, is going to be 5th. 6th is just Gert Korber. 7th, Ryan Smith. Anthony Janek takes 8th. 9th goes the way of Alan Law. Shane Brereton is 10th, and the fans have loved every minute of that. Great racing all the way through. and Jochen Hahn chipping away to get himself up with the two leaders. Well, there is some of a Freightliner. Adam Lachko, the man behind the wheel of it, and he is the on-the-road winner, but the incident under investigation. Jochen Hahn plays to the crowd down at the Mercedes Arena, does the donuts, and celebrates his second place. It might even turn out better than that. Time will tell. But plenty of tyre squeal, and the fans, understandably, loving every minute of it. And small wonder, therefore, that so many of them pack this annual German Truck Grand Prix. It's the 31st running of the German Truck Grand Prix. There is Gert Korber, another fan favourite, joining in the donuts. Sixth he was in the Team Schwaben Truck Iveco. Adam Lachko, though, not doing any celebrating. Maybe he feels that that rather robust move might not stay in his favour, but we'll see post-race. The FIA European Truck Racing Championship website may well be the place to go to find the full story, because I fear that it's going to rumble on, but the stewards will have a look at all the evidence, no doubt speak to the two drivers as well, as Adam Lachko then leads them round up towards Parc Fermé, which is in the fan village, and then to the podium in the paddock as well. There is the Czech driver, so 2 wins this weekend, 8 in total this season. Lachko having had a really strong year, and fingers crossed for him that that result is going to stay. Second place, Jochen Hahn. So he drops back in the title race because they were equal on points, Lachko and Hahn going into the race. Adam Lachko now puts a small advantage between himself and Jochen Hahn of 5 points. And there, Lachko, behind him is René Reinert. And I wonder whether the conversation will begin straight away in Parc Fermé. The reaction of both drivers, if we see it, if they do go and have a word with one another, might tell us the story. But for now, the provisional result, Adam Lachko the winner from Jochen Hahn, Stephanie Halm third from Norbert Kisch, and René Reinert down to 5th. 6th, Gert Korber ahead of Ryan Smith. 8th, Anthony Janek. 9th, Alan Law, and Shane Brereton takes 10th place. From pole position, 11th is where you find Jiri Foreman, Marcus Altenstrasser 12th, Frankie Wojciech 13th, then Eduardo Rodriguez ahead of Jean-Claude Labadie, Andre Kurzim having a difficult weekend, he's ahead of Johan Hamming, Erwin Klein Nagelvoort with lots of damage, 18th from Sascha Lenz. It was a retirement effectively because that was in the pits a long way back, and Jeremy Robineau also with damage from the skirmishes early on. So Adam Lachko, showing the scars of battle, arrives in Parc Fermé, and the top 3 stop facing the cameras. Everybody else peels to the opposite side of Parc Fermé, and that's where René Reinert will go, but he may well venture this way in a moment. Adam Lachko gets out of the truck, is congratulated on his win, but there's no euphoria. So he looks at the damage, and it'll be interesting to hear his reaction. So the team congratulates him, and an 8th win of the year. Hard fought, up from 8th on the grid. In the background for 3rd place there, Steffi Halm. For 2nd place, Jochen Hahn, just coming into Parc Fermé now. And all around the Mercedes Arena, there is the smell of burning rubber, and this is why, because there was the likes of Gert Korber as well as Jochen Hahn doing the donuts. They don't need that set of tyres again, so they can be destroyed. And it'll be further evidence for Goodyear of how they can stand up to the demands of truck racing. So the fans starting to make their way from the stands as we make our way to Parc Fermé, and hear from Adam Lachko, who's with Dakota.
Adam, really well done. Congratulations. 8th win of the year. You must be so proud. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's perfect, but it's very hard because René is a crazy guy and he blocked me everywhere. And when I passed him, now it's the sportive commissars try investigate me, but it's not my fault because he is idiot.
I mean, that looked like there was quite a lot of contract, and considering your car is in a bit of damage, but I'm sure it will get repaired. How do you think you have managed to do this?
Yeah, it's very hard, but I'm so faster than him, and I wait for when he make mistake, and I try, and he passed. I follow him.
Well, he's the championship leader, and I know that you made quite the effort and the right moves to make you here for another podium at Nürburgring.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Adam Lachko takes over the championship lead, and he's certainly not impressed with René Reinert. Whether René Reinert is impressed with Adam Lachko, I rather doubt as well. But the incident is going to be investigated. So it was between the two of them for the race lead. And so when they get to the podium, Adam Lachko will be on the top step. There's Jochen Hahn having a word with Adam Lachko. I wonder how he saw it, because he was behind. And he and Adam weren't the best of friends after race 1 today, because there was contact between those two when Adam Lachko took the race lead. But over the course of the weekend, where there's been excitement, Adam's been in the middle of it. So the driver's being brought to the podium, but Jochen Hahn may well turn out to be a valuable witness for Adam Lachko, so he needs him on side, doesn't he? And there's Stephanie Halm being collected ready for the podium, and the drivers will make their way towards the ceremony very shortly through the paddock towards the podium that's in the fan village. And it's a place to go and play on the big scale electric track, a place to go and sit, have something to eat and drink, and then cheer for the race winners and get soaked in the champagne post-race as well. And that will be happening very shortly, I suspect, once the winning drivers make their way across to the podium. But at the moment, still 1 or 2 discussions are going on about that race. So for Adam Lachko, he was in absolutely no doubt who was at fault there. And certainly, the fact that he managed to get fully alongside did suggest there was a big old gap, but the FIA officials will have a look at it as Adam Lachko and Jochen Hahn, stony-faced, actually, make their way up towards the podium. Steffi Halm, the winner of the equivalent race yesterday, and she finishes 3rd. Consolation prize, really, for Reinert Racing. So 3 different teams. The Bagheera International Racing System for Adam Lachko, Jochen Hahn's own team running his truck, and then Reinert Racing for Stephanie Halm, as the 3 drivers make their way now up onto the podium at the end of race 4 of the weekend here at the Nürburgring in the 4th round of the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Adam Lachko in the centre. To his right is Jochen Hahn and Stephanie Halm nearest us. The top 3 at the end of the final race of what has been a dramatic weekend. So in a few moments, the podium ceremony will be underway. The trophies will be presented, but of course first there will be the national anthem for the winning driver, the Czech driver Adam Lachko, for his 2nd victory of the day. For Adam Lachko, another race win. 8 this season, 2 this weekend, and the top step of the podium is where the Czech driver stands, towering over everybody here at the Nürburgring. He has towered over them in the race as well, working his way from 8th on the grid to victory in what was another spectacular, bruising affair. And so the trophies now to be presented to the drivers. Adam Lachko in the centre, receiving the winner's trophy, and receives a good round of applause from the fans and indeed from Jochen Hahn to his right. And Jochen will receive his 2nd place trophy. He's still not finished lower than 4th this season, and Jochen Hahn knows how to win championships in truck racing as well as how to win races. So he continues to score and score well, as he will now take the 2nd place trophy. and a man who came into the sport in 2000 after his father had a rather large accident and decided it was time to retire and let Jochen Hahn take over. To begin with, Jochen was Rookie of the Year and now 3 times a European champion. He is perhaps the top driver in the sport, but Adam Lachko is the pretender to the crown at the moment, and Stephanie Halm getting better and better and better all the time. And after a second career win yesterday, it's another podium finish today, 3rd podium finish of the season. And on to the top step. They all stand for the photographs. They've got the Goodyear hats to be presented as well now. And then, once the photographers are happy, the champagne can be sprayed in celebration. The championship has been running alongside the Blancpain GT Series this weekend, and it will do so again for its next round when the championship moves to Hungary. And that's somewhere that Norbert Kirsch is going to be hopeful of even better pace on his own home soil. In rather ungallant fashion there, Adam Lachko drenches Steffi Halm in the fizz, and then Jochen Hahn as well. But the Hungaroring is the next stop, and then Jochen Hahn ends up being beaten up by the bottle. Then from the Hungaroring, it goes to Most in the Czech Republic. There is Zolder, there is Jarama, and Le Mans is where it all finishes the second weekend of October. So Sam Smith, the FIA media delegate, makes his way forward to interview the drivers for the fans, the crowd that stayed. Some heading for home already in the sunshine. They had a bit of a soaking a few hours ago, but it's turned out to be a great weekend of racing here. A real highlight of the German motorsport year is the Truck Grand Prix. All the manufacturers, Mercedes here with a huge presence in the paddock, Iveco, MAN, Scania as well, and even those that haven't perhaps necessarily got a great racing presence in the championship are all represented here at the event. Lots and lots of guests, lots and lots of fans, and lots of merchandise areas, and just about everybody that's here doing something to entertain the fans and keep them occupied. It's not just about racing. There's an awful lot of off-track fun as well. The weekend has had, for example, drift displays, show trucks, the stop-go competition that Irving Klein-Nagelvoort, who we saw suffering lots of damage earlier on in the weekend, he was the winner of that on Friday evening, the stop-go competition on the pit straight. And some very happy fans with team clothing, with autograph books at the ready, I'm sure, as well. Will be going to meet their heroes in a few moments. Jochen Hahn is probably still the most popular driver in this country, at least, for his current successes, although Gert Korber remains a real favourite of the fans as well, and Steffi Halm has a burgeoning fan club as well. So the European Championship will continue at the end of August. There's quite a long break now whilst they do some repairs, and then there's going to be quite a busy end to the season from that. For now, though, from the Nürburgring, bye-bye.